Hey guys, Becca Pace here again, bringing you a 30-minute recovery workout. As we know, recovery built into your normal routine is really good for your muscles and your joints. So get ready to join me now. We will be starting in a standing position, feet shoulder width distance apart, arms loosely at your side. We begin with a shoulder roll up and around to the back. Feel free to keep a soft bend in your knees here and just feel your chest expanding, shoulder blades retracting. Let's reverse that up and over to the front. Let the shoulder blades now open. And maybe think about drawing little circles with your elbows out and around to your sides, just to create a little more space in the upper back. Okay, we're gonna take it back to the original circle, and you can stay here. Otherwise, I'd like you to slow it down and begin with a full chest opener. So notice my thumbs, they go up and around to the back, flip them so they actually pull forward. So you always want the thumbs to be the leading force. Let's do one more here. And then in reverse, let's lead with the pinky fingers. See if you can get it up, up, up and around, and then the pinky will lead down. So this is just gonna allow a little bit more range of motion. And the more you focus on your hand position here, the more heat you might start to feel in your shoulders. One more time. Good, as you come down to the side, bring your right arm up, slide your left arm down your thigh, and look at your heel. So we're opening up the side of the torso. Feel free to press into that outer thigh to create some resistance. And we breathe. And then I'm gonna have you take that same stretch up and over. And even though we are stretching, I still want you to keep your core activated here. So as you push your hips away, drive your palm into your outer right thigh or knee, wherever you're at, and think about pushing your pelvis forward here as well. We're gonna do this one more time, up and over, maybe a little less time on the hold, just waking up the torso. And again in the other direction. All right, now as you make your way back to the center, we can interlace the hands behind the head, and we'll push the weight of the head into the hands so the chest opens, elbows splay out wide. In opposition, as you hug your elbows in, drop your chin to your chest, soften your knees, and round out your back. Two like this. We open up the chest, take a deep breath. And then as you exhale, think about really bringing your chin all the way to your chest to lengthen your neck. One more time. Open the chest. And then soften the knees, round into your back. Let that feel super good for you. Standing up tall, just let your arms go. Maybe roll your wrists here as well. All right, you guys. So I want you to interlace your fingers out in front of your hips and pull your breath up to your heart as you flip your hands round your spine. And then just reverse that. Arms come up to the middle. And now I just want you to bend your knees a lot. And as you're pushing your palms out in front, pull your belly button back. So we want to create sort of like a C curvature throughout the entire spine. You might also feel a little bit of a stretch as you spread your shoulder blades wide. Now, we're going to continue the same swooping action forward, but rather than going through the middle, just push out to your right side. So it's almost like you're scraping out a little bowl of your favorite goodies. Maybe it's ice cream, something that you do not want to let any of it go to waste. So I want you to take a peek under the armpit and allow the lateral side of your body to open up. Let's do this one more time in each direction. Oh, that's so good. We'll do that one more time in the other direction. And then making your way to center, just press all the way up and release all the way down. Let's go into a forward fold. Drop your head, take a big nod, yes. Pin your chin to your chest and slowly roll it up. So we're just gonna start to move a little bit into the spine and down into the lower body. So go ahead and fold it forward. Nod your head, yes. Roll up to standing. Let's do that two more times. Just start to get a little grooves. We just wake up the hips, the hamstrings a smidge. Head is heavy. So guys, we're gonna take this one more time and I'm gonna have you stay down in your fold. Let's keep the knees soft for now. Now, I want you guys to straighten your right leg and open up your right shoulder. Let's bring it back to the center and roll all the way up. So we're gonna do this side to side, articulating through the spine on the way down. Now we straighten our left leg, open up the left shoulder, come on back to the middle. Now, if you really wanna get intricate here, you can add an inhale at the top, and exhale as you dive down. We'll open up the right arm, inhale, straighten your leg, open up your chest, exhale, center. So we find a nice groove here. So we keep the continuous movement, which allows the heart rate to come up just a tiny, tiny bit. But it's a great way to just mobilize all the joints and to get into a nice rhythm with the breath. So let's do that one more time in each direction. And maybe you notice you can get the chest to open a little bit more. And you may get there by pushing the bottom hand further down. So just recognize that resistance you're creating. Okay, arms come up. Bring your palms so they're facing away from you on the small of your back. Come into a flat back. Now, if your hamstrings are wicked tight, you're gonna keep a soft bend here, but I want you to reach your head away from your tailbone and just stand up. Let's do that 3 times. So I want you to exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, stand up tall. 2 more. So we're pushing the pelvis back. Good. 1 more time. I'm gonna have you stay here. Let's bend the knees. And then straighten the knees. 3 to go. So we add a little bit of our strength resistance here. 2 more times. Let's ground the weight evenly into the heels and the toes. And take this 1 more time into your deep low squat. And then we can go ahead and fold the body forward. Good job, guys. I'm going to have you turn all the way to your right side. Take a big step back with your left leg and just shift forward and back through that ankle. So we get a nice little calf stretch, a little ankle mobilization. And then I'm gonna have you come forward just a bit, drop into your knee, and let's all open up your right foot so it's a little bit wider. You can actually turn your knee and your toe out for a second. So we open up the inner thigh and maybe sink down into that your left hip a little bit. Okay, so we're here for a smidge. We're gonna add on to this. Bring your front foot back to parallel and pick up your back knee. With your left hand planted, twist your right arm up. And now I want you to slide your elbow down towards the arch of your foot and look over your left shoulder. So we're opening up that rotational movement pattern through your back. And all the while we're continuously driving through the left heel so we feel length through the top of that leg. We're gonna do this 1 more time, everybody. Open up the chest, slide the elbow down. Now, as you twist open on this next one, just stay for a sec. Roll your top wrist. And then bring your bicep to frame your head. Pause here. You will bring your hand down, set your knee down, untuck your toes, and here's where things get kind of real. You're gonna bend your back knee for a quad stretch and a hamstring pull, and then release. Let's do that 3 times. So we extend and bend the knee. As you're doing this, try to keep your weight heavy in your hip. Good, so 1 more time, moving through. It's a little bit of work here. And then as you bend on this next one, you've got some options. Feel free to stay here. Flat palms, you can keep the curl, make your way to elbows, or maybe you go ahead and reach your right arm back, grab your foot. If you're here, kick your foot into your hand and allow your chest to open. Sink down into your left hip and breathe for 3 deep breaths. Now guys, feel free to just stay in your low lunge if that's where you're at today, and focus on exhaling your hip down. 1 more deep breath. We will release the foot, cartwheel to center, pick up the back knee and crawl through the center, grabbing the elbows. Let your body sway. Ay, 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 ay. So imagine there's an anchor on your head. And then as you settle into the center with your hips piked up towards the sky, draw your elbows down and just kind of let your whole back get long. With the more you can let your head go, the more you might feel your neck releasing. Guys, take another deep breath here. And then I simply want you to pivot in the other direction so we can get into that second side lunge series. Starting in our low lunge, we will shift through the back ankle, noticing popping and cracking in that foot. You're not alone if that's what you're feeling. So I want you guys to shift forward, drop your back knee, and for now, just untuck your toe. Let's walk the left foot out a bit and actively turn it away from us. Just gives you an opportunity to create some space to get a little deeper into that stretch. So let's breathe into that for a second and just notice the length that we're creating. Cool. So let's bring the front foot back to parallel. We'll lift the back knee. Take a second here. Good. Now, I want you to press your right palm down, extend your left arm up, find your rotation, and then we slide down to the inner arch of that foot, looking away from that knee. Let's inhale to twist up. Exhale to slide it on down. And now all the while, guys, let's make sure that the back leg stays strong and long. Okay, so 2 more times like this. We'll do 1 more like this. And then as you reach your palm up to the sky this next time, just pause and just roll out your wrist a bit. And then you'll bring your arm to frame your head. Stay there, so a little bit of a strength component. And then as the hand comes down, we can revisit the knee heavy and the toes untucked. So let's stay here and go into our curl a couple times. So we get a little activation in our hamstring here. So I want you to really think about pulling your heel in towards your booty. So we're gonna work for it a little bit to start. Then when you hold that hamstring curl, you can stay up on your fingertips, flat palms, make your way to elbows. Depending on where you are with your flexibility, just play around with this and don't feel stressed out if it doesn't feel good. Just let that foot come back down. If you grab the foot on the second side, I encourage you to try it on this side as well. So we're gonna grab that foot, and then I kick the foot into the hand to help me to open up that chest muscle and shoulder. All the while, let's try to keep the left knee hugging in. You may notice one of your quads is maybe a little tighter than the other, and I'm saying that because this is definitely my tight side. So we're gonna hang out here for 2 more breaths. Keep pushing your foot into your hand, opening up your chest line. 1 more breath like this. All right, as you let that foot go, we'll circle the arm back to the front, pick up the back knee, and as you crawl through the center this time, we will make contact with the inner thighs. So just let your hips drop here, right? So we're gonna just play around, little range of motion, not too much, a little shifting from right to left. And then let's pike the hips up again, come into your flat back fold. I want you guys to walk your feet in a little bit closer, not too much. Keep that turn out and roll up to standing. Hike up my britches. Okay, arms come up. Now I want you to press your palms together, and as you bend your knees, tap your elbows to your inner thigh or knees. Push down into your heels, rise up, open your chest. We're gonna do this 3 more times. We press down into our heels, open up the hips, drive up through the feet to just create a little bit of that strength component. 2 more to go. Open up at the top. 1 more time. Now, this is a big, huge challenge for me, so come with me. So as you come down, we're gonna hold this. Elbows can press into the inner knees. Now I want you guys to try to drop your tailbone down. Maybe you adjust your feet a little closer if that's where you're at today. I definitely have to do that. So we wanna keep our weight grounded in our heels. Palms can stay pressed together, or if you're really flexible in your hips, I applaud you. You can also bring your knuckles together just to create a little bit more space. I'm gonna go back to my prayer and say a little prayer for myself. So hanging out here, spine is tall. Let's breathe for 3 deep breaths together. You might feel a little heat in your shins here. That's okay, we're working the front of the legs. We have 1 more breath to hold steady. Now, when you're ready, let's get out of this in whatever way feels comfortable for you. I like to lift my heels and come into a fold from here. Maybe you kind of let your hips shift from right to left, almost like a little tree swaying in the wind. Okay, so I want you to step back into a plank position. Pause with your feet slightly wider than you might normally hold. As you push into your hands, your hips will go up. And then we want to walk our hands a little closer so we're actually closing the gap. You might notice when you do that, your hips easily go up a little higher and maybe your heels easily get closer to the floor. So let's hang out here for a second. I want you to then bring your hands so that your pointers and your thumbs are sort of making a diamond shape. Keep pushing into your palms and then shift your weight to your right hand and diagonally reach across with your left. Come on back to the center. You will shift your weight and do the same thing on the other side. So I want you to actually peek under the armpit of the side that you're reaching towards. And now depending on your range of motion, maybe you wanna grab a hold of your leg to kind of guide you a little deeper into that twist. That's totally cool too. Just feel it out. We're gonna be doing this 1 more time on each side, so just play around with that and see where you're at. We'll do 1 more here. Hello. So last time on the second side. Now, I'm gonna have you guys walk your hands back to sort of like your normal position. Bring your feet back in a little bit closer. I'm gonna just scooch a little bit so I don't kick my water bottle over. And now bring your feet together and let's all pick up our right leg. So think about a little dog peeing out a hydrant. You're gonna bend that knee, crank the hip open, but drive your left hand down so your hips and your shoulders stay pretty square. Let's hold here. So you again do that little hamstring pull that we did in our lunges. Maybe you add a little kick here. Press your left heel down. Good. We're gonna straighten the leg, lower the leg, and then lengthening through your back. Let's make our way into our plank. I'm just gonna have you drop back into a child's pose for a moment. Drop your shoulders, relax your head, and take 2 deep breaths. So maybe you shimmy a bit from right to left, let your hips get heavier to the floor. And we're gonna do that hip opener on the second side. So when you're ready, let's come to hands and knees. The toes will tuck, the hips will lift. This time we again bring our feet together so they're touching, so we're very streamlined. And then we'll lift the opposite leg up. with that flexed ankle, guys, bend your knee, pull it down towards your booty, and then you're sinking into your standing heel, trying to crank that left knee up to the sky, all the while that left hand is pressing down so shoulders stay square. Maybe you kick your own butt here. You choose what feels good for you. Okay. So we're going to straighten our leg, lower the toes, roll forward, coming into our plank position. This time, set your knees down and relax onto your heels. We're going to find a little flow here. Forward to hands and knees, hips up to the sky. Come back to hands and knees, and then revisit your child's pose. Let's do that 2 more times. So we float forward with an inhale. Exhale the hips to the sky. Bring the knees back to the floor. So I'm also articulating through my feet here as well, getting our little ankle mobilization into the mix. 1 more time. Okay. So we're going to stay on the ground. Continue your child's pose for 2 more breaths, allowing perhaps that little shimmy to happen from side to side. And I'm going to have you roll just to a kneeling position. From here, guys, take this opportunity, pardon me while I hike up my britches, to bring your left arm across and press your shoulder down. You can roll that wrist. We're just going to take a little transition here since we were on our hands and shoulders throughout that down dog series. Let's switch sides. Okay, so we're going to be taking it to the floor for our grand finale, or we're about halfway through. So just think, get comfortable. Recovery can be work, but it can also be a little bit more relaxing. So we're going to chill, okay? So when you're ready, guys, come on down to your backs. So as you roll onto the floor, I just want you to take note of something really quickly. We're going to do a really subtle sort of scan. So with your arms at your sides, the little spine massage. So we have a natural lift in our back that's there. I want you guys to press your lower back into the floor and draw your abs in. And then just let that go and see the difference. We're going to do that just 2 more times. So we press the low back down, and then we let it lift. So 1 more time. So we get a nice little low back massage, if you will, and then let that go. So just notice how that feels. And then I just want you to simply cross your left ankle over your right thigh, and then pushing your knee away from you, you're going to get a nice outer hip stretch. If you have really tight hips, you might want to grab a towel, drape it underneath your right thigh, and then pull the towel towards you so that you can allow your shoulders to be heavy and relaxed. If you don't need a towel, your hands can either be behind your thigh or laced on top of your shin. Let's pull that leg in as we push the opposite knee away. And as I always mention, any kind of figure 4, we want to keep this foot pretty active. It's just going to keep the knee safe and allow that outer hip to get a little bit of extra TLC. So maybe the opposite ankle rolls. So when you're doing a lot of slide board workouts with us, you're going to notice your quads, your hips, maybe your low back. Things might start to say hello to you more than normal. So these types of stretches are really, really good to infiltrate in so that you can really allow your muscles to lengthen and basically recover so that you can activate them again and maybe better the next time. So let's hang out here for another 2 breaths. Maybe you can cinch that right thigh in a little closer without jeopardizing the left knee. Okay, and then from here, we're going to go into a hamstring stretch. So go ahead and place your right foot down. We're going to start with a flexed foot. Send your heel to the sky. Again, if your hamstring is really tight, feel free to keep that knee micro-bent to begin. So we're going to pull that thigh in towards us. And as we hold, press your low back down. Remember we did those little activations before? Press the low back down and just pause for a second. This little action. Point your foot and then flex your foot and feel the back line of your leg. So as you point your foot, we elongate the top and we flex. And oh my goodness, we feel our hamstring quite a bit. Keep your low back pressed. 1 more time. And then I'd like you to just find a neutral ankle on that top foot, and maybe your hands start to walk down the leg, depending on where your flexibility is at. Just start to draw that thigh towards you. Now, maybe you stay right here with the right knee bent, or you extend the leg. If you're gonna extend that leg, I want you to shoot your toes away from you so both of your shins are very long. Shoulders are heavy and wide, and we're gonna breathe into this stretch for 3 deep breaths. Maybe you can cinch your hands up to that foot. I like to bring the opposite hand across. That's just where I'm at, just guides me a little deeper into my stretch. But all the while, we're gonna keep both of our hips relatively square and facing up towards the ceiling. Okay, Let's get out of there. Bring that knee into your chest. And if this knee has been bent, go ahead and straighten it now. We're going to circle the left knee out and around a few times and just relax your feet. Now, I want you to bring your left knee all the way across your body and get your foot at the very minimum to touch the floor. Now, you might feel really tight here and this left shoulder is pulling off the ground. That's okay. Maybe you just prop your arm up or you keep it maybe on your shoulder. What I want you to do is relax that left hip so it's really heavy. Place your hand on the outside of that thigh so you can really press it down. And then when you're ready, we can twist the left arm open. And don't sweat it if that shoulder blade is piking up away from the floor. That's totally okay. You might just have really tight pec muscles, and this is great for that. So I want you to reach your arm away from you. And as you exhale, try to press the shoulder down. You can keep your nose looking straight up, or you can actually turn and look at your left hand. Try relaxing your left booty cheek a little bit more, and we're gonna breathe into this for 3 more breaths. So this is another thing you might start to notice when we go to the other side. One side might feel more open than the other, and that's absolutely normal. You know, we all have a dominant side. I'm right-handed, so I just tend to have a little bit more stress in this side. Pardonnez-moi. Okay, so we're gonna get out of this twist. Grab a hold of that knee, bring it back to the center. You can circle it around one more time, and then we're gonna go figure 4 second side. Okay, so placing your foot down, let's revisit this position. Give your tailbone a little tuck, press the low back, little massage, and then let it go 2 times. So it seems really simple, but it actually feels really good. Simple yet effective. Okay. So let's go ahead and cross the opposite foot over, flexing at the ankle. We push the knee away from us. Again, if you're pretty tight in your hips, drape whatever it is. Maybe it's a t-shirt, a towel, place it underneath your quads so you can have something to pull, right? So if you're doing that, otherwise you can bring your hands behind your thigh, on top of your shin. Your bottom foot can kind of flop like a fish. That's totally cool. But let's keep this top foot super flexed. Push your knee away. Press your shoulders down and breathe. Hello, outer hips. This is also a great sort of lazy way to open up your hips. You've got the standing figure 4 option. We've got the pigeon option. We've got a seated figure 4. Sometimes I just like a good old laying figure 4, so you don't really have to do that much work. And that's good. We're relaxing. We're recovering. That's okay. So let's hang out here for another 2 breaths. Again, if you haven't rolled out that opposite ankle, let's do it now if you want. Maybe the knee pushes a little further away. Maybe you can cinch that opposite leg in a little closer. And now we're gonna place that left foot down and shoot the right heel up. Pay attention to this hamstring. I don't want you to force it. We don't want the hips piking up and down. So let's just grab a hold of the back of the thigh and start to work our ankle. And just recognize front of the leg, boom, back of the leg. Oh my goodness. So that flexion really fires up those hamstrings, yes? Whew. So one more time, moving through the ankle. And then just find that sort of like a neutral ankle here, flop it out, and start to draw that thigh in. And maybe your hands stay behind your thigh, maybe that towel is still behind your leg, or you can walk down and just sort of play around with your own flexibility. Option to keep this knee bent. This is where you're gonna stay if you feel like you can't straighten this knee, right? Keep this knee bent. If you feel like you want more of that stretch, extend it forward. And we're just gonna pull the leg in as best we can. Now I did this on the other side, I'm gonna do it on this side as well. So I'm gonna basically utilize sort of this diagonal to kind of cinch this thigh closer to me. But this isn't really the main thing. I want you to keep reaching away from you if that leg is extended. Okay, let's breathe. Breathing is good. Flexibility can sometimes be frustrating. I totally get you. It's taken many, many years for me to be able to get my leg even remotely into this position. So I totally understand. It takes time and practice, so that's why we do it. Okay, let's now bring this knee into the chest. If your left leg is bent, straighten it, and let's circle the right knee around. So I like to bring my opposite hand down like an anchor, so my left hand is actually pressing right down into the floor so that my hips can stay pretty level. And then we're gonna bring that knee across the body. Now I want you to make sure that at the very least, I'm gonna move my mic to demo this because I can't lay on my hip. So at the very least, we want our foot on the floor, left hand on the upper thigh, and then when you're ready, you can open up your right shoulder. Now you're gonna notice if if you could see on the other side, my opposite shoulder is really close to the floor. This one, not so much. And that's okay. But we do want to try to relax this top booty, cheek, and hip. And then with your exhale, that's why we want to try to actively press the shoulder blade down. And don't worry about it if your arm is like floating up here. Maybe you bend your elbow or you place a pillow or something under your arm so that you can really just let your body let go here. And again, you have the option to turn your head. I'm turning the head to look at camera, so that's pretty practical. So we'll breathe for 2 more breaths, and maybe we can actually allow the leg to get heavier. 1 more breath here, everybody. So good. So we can guide the knee back through the middle, take those circles on the other side. And then I'd like you to bring both of your knees into your chest. So your hands can be behind your thighs, on top of your shins. I like behind the thighs personally. And we're gonna rock and roll up and down, massaging into the back a little bit. That should feel pretty good. Now, as you come up to sitting, I'm gonna have you stay. We will bring the left foot back, right leg forward. I'm gonna cinch my mic back into my pocket. Look how subtle that was. Okay, so we've got this crazy position that we're in right now to get into the groin and the hamstring. So with your left leg back, we're hugging the heel in, pointing through the opposite foot, and we're gonna move through this. So shift your weight into your left hip. You might feel a little doozy in there. Breathe through it. Bear with it. You're gonna take your left arm up with an inhale, and then open up your side body, exhale into that hamstring. We're moving through this. Inhale, we come up, and exhale, we come on down. Let's do that 3 times. So I really want you to focus on coming up and sort of pressing your weight into that left hip. 2 more. We have 1 more here. Feels so good. Cool. As you come back up to the center, maybe you prop yourself up, sink a little deeper into that opposite hip. And then we're gonna shimmy ourselves around. I'm gonna actually pull my leg forward because my hips are a little tricky. So we bring the opposite foot back. Let's go right into the other side. So before we move into that side stretch, see if you can sit as upright as possible. So we wanna drop into that right hip. And you might feel a lot of tension there. So again, play around so that it feels good and it doesn't feel stressful. Let's take the opposite arm up. We'll breathe in at the top. And as we exhale, we open up the side of the body. So it's a nice kind of free flow so we can get into hamstring and groin. And our breath can be our tool to kind of move us up and down. Last 2. 1 more time. Okay, now as you make your way back up to center, let's pause. Again, sit as upright as possible. And now here's our challenge. We're gonna swing both legs out into a straddle. If this is not comfortable, bring your feet together and do a butterfly instead. Now with your feet flexed, I want you to prop yourself up as high as you can on your sits bones and start to walk your body forward. Maybe you end up on your elbows, sweet. Maybe you take it all the way forward, forehead to floor, sweet. Wherever you're at, we want to pull away from our hips a little bit. So this is a little active. Maybe the feet stay flexed. Maybe that's just not gonna happen today. You wanna just let your ankles go. I personally like the flexion because it keeps my knees safe and it just really hones in on what we're feeling. So we're gonna hang out here for just another 3. I'm gonna just shimmy my forehead down to my wrists. And again, the exhale is a great tool to kind of get you maybe a smidge deeper into the stretch, but don't stress. Just do what level feels good for you. And then when you're ready, guys, we're gonna walk our way up to center. I want you to shake your legs out and bring them in. Do, 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 do. Good. Cross your right foot over your left thigh. We have options to keep the bottom leg straight or to bend it. I'm gonna keep mine bent. We're gonna stack the sits bones so they're on the ground. Elevate, place the elbow on the outer knee, and let's twist. Twisting is really great for digestion, just an FYI. So just something to think about here as well. Shoulders down, neck long. And I want you to make your way through the center, staying on the same leg for a counter twist. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So you can extend your legs out in front, give them a little shake. Opposite leg comes across. We can either keep the bottom leg straight or bent, your choice. Just make sure both those sits bones are plugged down. Let's elevate, press, and twist. Now using your inhale to get taller and your exhale to twist, let's do 2 breaths on this side. And guys, we're wrapping things up. This is our final move of today's recovery class. So when you're ready, we'll counter our twist, same leg, second side. And then from here, I'm gonna have you guys just shimmy your legs around, tuck your toes, come into one more forward fold. Recognize any differences in your hamstrings as you grab your elbows. And then as you release your arms, guys, bend your knees a lot and slowly roll up one bone at a time. We'll reach our arms up to the sky, bring our palms to press, connect to our heart center, and we will call it a day. Well done, everybody. You should be very proud for infiltrating your recovery into your weekly routine. Your body will thank you. I thank you. See you next time.